Hello and welcome. My name is Ajaxpost and you join me today for the very first video after the official release of Transport Inc. It was released about 2 days ago now, as of the time of this recording, though of course that may be a day or two more when you actually come to watch this. And what I thought I would do for this particular episode is try and keep it reasonably short, which is not always the thing I'm best at, to be honest, but we're going to have a crack at it. What I want to do is just go through a few sort of hints and tips and just observations for those of you who are new to the game, or even those of you who've watched a few of my earlier videos when we were playing with the beta version, largely because a number of things, not greatly significant things, but a number of things have changed since that beta version. So I think we need to bring ourselves up to date so that you don't get misled by any sort of misinformation in those earlier videos. Okay, now what I'm going to do here is I'm still going to focus on the story mode of the game. It does still have both free play and story, career, campaign mode, whatever you want to call it. You can go straight into free play, but it will prompt you when you do that, if you've not been through the story, that you might want to do that first before you go to free play. There's nothing stopping you now, you can do that, but I do suggest you have a quick look at the story to start with, the first couple of chapters perhaps, if you're unfamiliar with this sort of game or how this one works, if you're not watching any videos or whatever. But then again, you are watching this one, aren't you? But the story mode has changed a little bit in the way it's constructed as a tutorial. It is much more constrained and much more sort of defined as to what it will show you. So each chapter will show you something specific and you won't be allowed to go beyond that or do anything outside of the scope of the game. And I did say I do recommend going through the first couple of chapters at least, just to get a grip of what's going on. Let's have a look at a couple of things that have changed in the tutorial itself. Okay, so I'm here actually in chapter 4, the chapter about, is it chapter 4? The chapter about cargo, anyway. I'm losing track of where I'm going. I've gone into this one just to show off something which I can't show in the earlier chapter because I've already done it. But if I start here again, it will highlight what we're doing. So we've got objectives down here with our little man, who's sort of us, our mentor, if you will. We need to deliver 20,000 units of cargo and assign 6 vehicles to a manager, and we'll talk about that in due course in more detail. But if we're looking here around our map, we want to find out where we go. One word of warning when you're clicking on cities is this magnifying glass icon can be useful because it gives you the lowdown on exactly what sort of speed and level of comfort that the passengers or cargo will require to give you the best price. You can still provide vehicles which don't meet those criteria in terms of comfort or speed, but you will have to lower your price in order to meet them. But anyway, so and the other thing about this is the surveys, it does tell you here, which it didn't I think in the earlier beta versions, how much it will cost. But be aware, some of them are quite pricey. Marseille, for example, 20,000 for a survey. Paris, is that 20,000 as well? Oh, that's only 6,000. I think it depends on which city you're clicking into. The other thing is the tutorial map changes in terms of which cities do what or have what demands. So don't trust the fact that you used one particular map layout in the previous attempt of a chapter. It will probably change if you try it again from scratch, and the prices and the level of demand will differ. Okay, but the one thing I wanted to come into this map to show you is this here. Now, when you're doing things like creating routes, what we used to get was, if I create route, a little bit of a hint as we were waving the mouse around. You don't anymore. The one thing it will tell you on the mouse pointer here is that sort of no entry sign, which basically tells you there's no demand between these two cities. So don't create a route there. And in fact, it won't let you create that route because there's no demand for it to cover. And that highlights what's going on down here in the bottom right. You've got these sort of pop-up help menus now. So new route, and it sort of shows you diagrammatically what you're supposed to do, which can be quite handy. This is what we used to get on the sort of tooltip of the mouse pointer in the previous beta versions. So it's telling you just click a city, click create route, click another city, and that's the job done. The route has been created and it's highlighted in blue, as you can see here. If you want to just close that, and it'll pop up again the next time you go to create a route, or you can dismiss it and say I don't want to see that again. Likewise, no demand. Yeah, no demand there, so don't create a route, basically. I don't want to see that one again either. Now, one significant thing which has changed since the beta is when you're creating a route. Creating a route can be as simple as going from there to there. Simply left click will create the route. So what you'll be thinking to yourself, well, okay, how do I create a route between 3, 4, more than 2 towns? They've changed the way that works. There is no right click involved anymore in creating routes. What you do is you you click on there, create the route, shift click, and then shift click, and then click at the end of the route. So shift left click to create a connection between 2 towns, and then be able to go on to the next one to create a longer route. And the left click will complete that route for you. Okay, so let's get back into the chapter where I was sort of coming close to completing the objectives. That's a depot. Which one's highlight? There it is. It's flashing at me. Okay, get that vehicle out of the depot. Okay, in terms of objectives, we've got our objectives down here in the bottom left telling us what we need to do. In this particular story chapter, it's deliver 5,000 first-class passengers. And the thing you need to be aware of is you need to beat the opposition to that number. It's not just you achieving it. And you can keep track of the opposition by looking up here in the top right, and it shows that Transport Inc., which is my company name in this particular scenario, I am ahead. 4,200 plus, as opposed to 1,700 from my nearest rival. So keep an eye on that when you're coming up to meeting your objectives. Okay, what else do we want to see here? Something else has changed since the beta was we're familiar with the bars at the bottom of the vehicle showing you their condition, which is the very bottom bar. So from green to this deep orange, you do need to go to a depot at some point. Is there a depot around here? I'll create a new depot. I'll just do that while I'm here. Don't mind me. There you go. And we'll send him to that once he's done his journey. And we'll talk about that again in a moment. Yeah, and the upper bar here is the amount of cargo or the capacity of the vehicle, the load in the vehicle. So here is white on buses, which is economy passengers, and it's carrying 18 of them. Here, yellow, it is first class passengers and it's carrying 20 of them. And you can see here whether that actually meets the capacity of the vehicle. Here, yes, we are 20 out of 20. That's fine. The number isn't terribly obvious or useful in a real sense, because the important thing is to get the bar as close to full as possible. And obviously different vehicles have different capacities, so the fact this one's carrying 20 just means you should earn more from it, from this compared to this bus carrying just 12. But the important thing is they are both at full capacity, or as near as you can get it. Now, while we're looking at this, talking about repairs, you'll notice that buses have, or all the vehicles have, different icons on them. Oh, he's just gone now. Bus going in there had a spanner on it saying he was going into the depot. This vehicle here is changing route. Now, what this means in this particular instance is I believe he's going to the depot. He's not actually changing to a different route, but he would have the same symbol if he was going somewhere else. You'll see other symbols on here. If we try and, for example, if I change the price on this vehicle to 60, we might, with any luck, if I speed you up a little bit, see a different icon on this vehicle. Yeah, that little red face there, that sad face, means there's something wrong. Now you can check the satisfaction on that vehicle by either double clicking it to bring up the panel here and going into customer satisfaction. And it says here they're okay with the speed, they're okay with the comfort, they are really not happy with the ticket price. So what you need to do is reduce the ticket price for that vehicle, and I think 50 was what it was before. So if I take that down, then when it gets to its next stop, it should be okay, and it'll start picking people up. And you see there the fact they were happy with most things apart from the price means there were some passengers that were picked up. Another symbol you might well see, I don't oh, we just missed it there. If I slow down the game a little bit here as this vehicle comes in, this clock symbol here means it's waiting to fill up. Now the fact that that town may have enough people to fill the bus up isn't always the key issue there. It's how many people there are that that are happy with the overall rating of the bus in terms of comfort, in terms of speed, and in terms of price. So if that clock icon stays there for a long time before the bus starts filling up, then one of those criteria does need to be addressed. If it's speed or comfort, you'll need to replace the bus or lower the ticket price significantly. If it's the ticket price, then obviously just lower it, and you should be away. Which depot is that that's highlighting? That one, the flashing one there. Okay. You could click on the message that comes up here to go directly to that depot. You need to go to the depot as well. Right, which brings me to another issue here in the game. Now, I can't honestly remember if this has changed or if it's a new feature which I didn't spot when I was going through the beta version. If you personally are dragging a vehicle into a depot, because this lower bar is showing that it's in poor condition, it's very deep orange now as opposed to green or yellow. If you're dragging it into a depot, you have the choice of either going there immediately, i.e. kicking all your passengers or cargo off the vehicle and driving straight there, or finishing the old route, which basically means get to your next stop and then go to the depot, which is what makes sense because you would expect your vehicles to do that. However, if you go to the vehicle list here, there is this option. Again, I'm not sure if this is new. It might well be. I don't remember seeing it before. If you choose the option here to send to the nearest depot, it will go straight there. You will not get the option to finish your existing route, which may or may not be a big deal for you. Well, I'm very close to completing this objective, so I'm going to stop here for a second. Now, as you can see here, I've got a lot of vehicles on the map, and obviously as you progress through the game you will get many more than this, and you'll have trains and you'll have planes. You'll be going across this continent, so the map might get very busy. Now, there's a couple of ways of dealing with that which might be helpful to you. Now, one of them, and again this does pop up in a tooltip or one of these help boxes at some point earlier in the story mode. This leftmost icon here in the top right toolbar is show player vehicles. If you click that to turn it off, it goes dark green. Then all you'll get is these dots, so you can see where your vehicles are, which is fine. You've got a nice uncluttered map, but you have no idea what vehicle it is, how full it is, what condition it's in, or anything about it, unless you double click on it and work it out from there, which strikes me as being somewhat, I'm not quite sure of the purpose of that. If you've got an idea why that might be useful, do let me know. Drop a note into the comments box below. What can be handy though is to hide the competition's vehicle, like we've got two buses here from Ajaxpost Inc. If I hide them, again they'll just turn into these dull dots, so they'll keep out the way. So the map will be a little less cluttered perhaps, certainly if you're fighting over the same territory. What might be more useful though, particularly if you're trying to work out where to create the next route, is you want to see where the demands are between all these towns. So if you hold the control button down, it hides all your vehicles or shades them transparent while you've got that button held down. So if you're trying to work out where your next sort of high point of demand is in your towns, then you can just hit the control and just hide your vehicles, in fact hide all vehicles temporarily. Okay, now one thing which has changed since the beta is a significant change, and to be honest I have no idea why they have done this. It makes no sense to me whatsoever. I posted a question, well actually I've described it as a bug on the Discord server. If you want to get in touch and sort of engage with the developers of the game, by all means go to their Discord server. They're not the most talkative bunch, but they do engage very positively when they've got the time to do that. Obviously they spend more time developing and working on the game than they do chatting with the likes of us, but they realise the importance of communication, so they do engage, and it is a very useful source of information and assistance. But anyway, Discord aside, what they've done since the beta version, since the last beta version we played, they have changed the pricing process. In the old days, before release, more than 2 days ago, if you went to the route, if you called up the route information, either by going through the route menu here and just clicking on a route, you could see the prices for first class, economy class, and for cargo carrying. Or if you clicked on the route here, actually I think this little icon you can see here is new. If you click on that, it shows you here the vehicles on the route, and you'd have the prices for the different types of cargo they would carry. Again, passengers, economy first, or cargo. At the moment, in this version of the build, 1.02, the only way you can set prices is per vehicle. It's not on a type of vehicle per route, it's each individual vehicle. And the only way you can do that is by actually clicking on the vehicle itself. So, in fact, if I just click on that one, yep, you don't need to double click it. If you double click it, you'll get the full information panel, but there you are. Yeah, so this, I've clicked on this bus here, and this is the price of tickets for economy classes, because that's the only type of passenger it carries on this bus. You could have, and I think I do have on one of my routes, the Bourges to Lyon. Is it that route? Where's Bourges to Lyon? Well, it might actually be that route. How many vehicles? Oh, I do have. So I've got that, but unfortunately, trying to work out, you can't double click to see the vehicles on that line, unfortunately. So again, there's a slight issue with the UI with it. But okay, if I go to vehicles here, I can sort them by type. No, okay, I'll just have to look through this. So Bourges to Lyon. So we've got this bus here. Okay. Oh, yeah. If you sort of hover into it, it does hide. You can just, if I zoom in a bit, you can see it does highlight the buses very quickly as you hover into them. But it doesn't always stay lit. So we've got these two buses on Bourges Lyon. Have we got any more? Yes, we have. So we've got, like, this bus here is going on the Bourges Lyon route, and here I'm charging on that bus passengers $45 per 100 kilometers. On this bus, I'm charging $50. Now, to be honest, it is a more comfortable bus, but I still don't quite understand why they needed to make that change. It just seems to add an unnecessary level of complication to the system. And if these buses were charging the same, it's $50 to go from Bourges to Lyon, whichever bus you travel on in economy class. Then obviously the buses with poorer comfort or lower speed would not get the passengers, as opposed to the vehicles which have the higher speed or the better comfort. So that would prompt you to say, oh, actually I need a better bus, or reduce the prices on that route. And the fact that you can't actually get to that pricing information by clicking the bus or going to the bus's information panel is awkward, to say the least. So I'm hoping that is something they will improve. As we say, we're only 2 days into the release of the game, so changes are more than likely in one way or another. Right, so that's the bus routes. Okay, one of the other things that I want to say here, and this is highlighted in fact in the next chapter of the story mode, which is one of the reasons I sort of recommend going through it, because you might not get the idea immediately, or it might not be obvious to you, is what you've seen me do here is drag buses to their depots. And if you've got a lot of buses, this is a few, this is not a lot, But if you've got a lot of buses, trying to keep an eye on which ones are in poor condition. You can do it either by looking at them on the map here, or you can look at the vehicles here, and you can see here in this column the condition of the vehicles, and you can pinpoint them, locate them. So that's that one there. Which one's that? So that's that bus there. So you can pinpoint them that way, which can be helpful. But the best way of managing your fleet and ensuring repairs is to get a manager. You learn about that in the next chapter of this story mode. So let's quickly, I'll just complete this chapter. We'll nip into that. There you are. I've delivered my 5,000 first class passengers. Okay, if we go on then into the next cargo chapter. Now, if you're going through story mode, this icon will appear for the first time, managers. If you're in free play mode, obviously it will be there all the time, but it may not be obvious what you can do with it. What the manager allows you to do, if I hire a manager, we'll hire one. They cost 30 grand to hire, so that's immediately taken out of your funds. And what you can do here, you've got two buttons at the top here. Now these are very useful. The first one is assign all, because more than likely you will have several vehicles on the road before you even need to consider repairing them. So you don't need to buy a depot or hire a manager until some time. But be aware that buying a depot will cost you 25,000. Hiring a manager will cost you 30,000. So be sure you've got funds. Keep that in mind as you're adding more vehicles to your fleet. You will need depots, and I do recommend getting a manager as soon as you can. They cost money, but they are so much worth it in terms of reducing the micromanagement you need to do. Anyway, here when you're hiring a manager, once you've got your manager, there are two things you can do here. The first of which is assign all. What that does is all the vehicles you've currently got in your fleet which are not yet assigned to a manager, assign all of them out immediately. Otherwise what you would do, shall we demonstrate that? We'll go from Paris to Bourges. So that looks like a cargo vehicle. How much cargo is required? Oh, there is quite a bit of cargo traffic, 114. That's a nice number there, you can see. So yeah, a 40 vehicle will do. It's reasonably fast, which should be good enough for that length of route. You will eventually sort of learn to judge what length of route requires what speed vehicle. As you can see, it's not actually full there, is it? It carries 40, but it's only... It can carry 40, but it's only carrying 37 at the moment, so we could reduce our price. So how's our satisfaction? Yeah, the speed is a bit poor. So if we reduce price a little bit, just a little bit, that you don't need usually to reduce it by much, and it will make it up. There you are, fully loaded. Okay, so it's prompting us to go into the managers. What you can do is drag a vehicle into the manager box. You can do it that way if you wish, or it's simpler to simply assign all, and they're automatically done. The next thing I would recommend doing is clicking this second button, auto assign, which means that every new vehicle you purchase is automatically assigned to a manager. That will incur a monthly maintenance fee. It's about 100, it's 300 or something. But if you're making money, by the time you need a manager, you've got enough vehicles on the road, you should be able to easily afford that. That's not a problem. The other thing I would recommend here is that after a number of years, vehicles become so old that it takes them longer to repair, and each repair or maintenance doesn't bring them anywhere close to full condition. And that's what this option here is full repairs. Now that adds an extra $150 a month to the cost, but you don't need that until your vehicles are getting a little bit old. And you can tell that by looking at the bottom bar on the vehicle. You can't really tell it on this because it's such a new vehicle. But this green bar, underneath that is a black bar. And the dark black bar will move further leftwards. It will decrease in length. And as that decreases, the vehicle will become less reliable and each maintenance cycle will repair it less. Once it gets to around 60% or so, which is the average here, you can send it in for full repair. That will take longer, but it is worth it if you want to keep your vehicles running without spending money on new ones. Well, one thing I will say, certainly if you're running in tutorial mode, you may be tempted just to save every now and then in case you've got something to do, answer the phone or something, and save your game. It does say auto save every now and then, but do be aware this may well be fixed by the time you watch this video. But if I were to save my game now, at this point, in fact, if I do that, let's see how it works, just to prove. We'll call this test 03 and save that. And let's load this save back up. Test 03. I don't like the way they've ordered these saves here. They should be the other way up. They should be latest at the top, but you may like it differently. But there you go. So let's load that save game again. What can happen here is that these dialog boxes get stuck. As you can see, I've already got my manager hired. I cannot hire another manager, so I can't get rid of this dialog box. So, good tip, if you're in the story mode and you're saving the game, be sure there are none of these help or story mode or tutorial prompts on screen, because although they don't affect how the game works, they just get in the way. And one final thing I will say here, I think my final tip for this video is do be aware that demand changes. That you will see events pop up. You'll get a sort of notification, a bing, and they will appear in a little column on the right hand side here. Events do not start automatically. You will get a warning to say it will start in so many days or whatever, and it will then last for so many days, and they will generally increase demand for passengers or for whatever. It will tell you what it does when you hover over the event. They will change the demand levels quite dramatically, so you may be tempted to buy new vehicles to take advantage of that. I have no problem with you doing that. It's a fairly sound idea, but do be aware that the event will end. So it's up to you to decide how profitable you are, whether you can take this quick hit of good profit and then when the event ends, sell the vehicle and carry on as normal. So that's entirely up to you whether that's worth doing or not. But they can be, I think, they can increase demand quite substantially. So if you've got the funds to buy a few more vehicles, then it's well worth doing, I reckon. Okay, so that wasn't actually my last tip. It did occur to me that I'd missed one out, and that is to do with having a flexible fleet, taking advantage of all the demands that are open to you. And that's certainly true on this map. We have one objective: first class passengers, get 5,000 of them. Don't assume that means you can't carry economy passengers. As I'm doing here, I've got lots of buses. In fact, I've probably got more buses carrying economy, bigger buses carrying economy, than I have first class carrying buses. They help provide revenue. Without revenue, you can't buy buses, and some of the vehicles are quite expensive. If we go to the shop rather than the vehicle list, as you can see here, 120,000 for these higher grade buses. That's a lot, and it takes you a little while to earn that money. So don't focus exactly or entirely on what the objective is. Be aware you need to make money, so don't be embarrassed to buy economy class buses to supplement your first class fleet. Anyway, that's it from me, Ajaxpost, here, my very first look at the released version of Transport Inc. I hope you've enjoyed this video and found it useful. If there's any particular tips, hints, recommendations, suggestions that you have to offer, or that you would like me to have a look at and see if I can help you understand the game, by all means, please do get in touch. Just drop a note into the comments box below. If otherwise you have simply enjoyed this and it's been helpful for you, or helpful to you, is probably a better way of saying that, a like would be lovely. Just click on the old thumbs up. That would be most rewarding. I'd be delighted to see those. And of course, if you want more Transport Inc., or indeed want to see any of my other Let's Play series, then please do subscribe to the channel, and that way you'll know when I upload another video. Usually once every couple of days, sometimes a bit more frequently than that, but that's my typical upload rate. But anyway, from me, Ajaxpost, here in Transport Inc. Until the very next time, bye bye for now.